Nobody tells you this, but the moment you stop explaining yourself, people get nervous. It happens quietly. You're in a conversation, and you decide, just this once, not to justify your choice. Or someone makes a comment designed to get a reaction from you, and you simply don't give them one. You just let it sit there in the air. You'll see a flicker in their eyes, confusion. Then something closer to irritation. It's not that you've done anything to them. It's that you've stopped doing something for them. You've stopped feeding a particular kind of energy into the space between you. For a long time, you might not have even realized you were doing it. You were just being polite or keeping the peace or trying to be understood. You'd offer up your reasons, your feelings, your vulnerabilities as a kind of peace offering. You'd walk into a room already prepared to defend your mood, your silence, your success, your failure. You'd over-explain a simple no. You'd cushion your opinions in apologies. You'd rush to fill any quiet, fearing it would be misinterpreted. It was a habit, a tiring, endless habit. And the people around you got used to it. They got used to the version of you that was always ready to provide a report on your own inner state. That was always open for business, emotionally. They knew how to interact with that person. They knew which buttons to press to get a certain response. Your consistent reactions made them feel secure. It made the relationship, however draining for you, feel predictable and manageable for them. Then, something in you shifts. It's rarely one big moment. It's a slow accumulation of weariness. You get tired of your own voice explaining things. You get tired of the hollow feeling that follows another performance you didn't want to give. You realize that all that explaining never actually led to you feeling understood. It just left you exposed and exhausted. So, almost as an experiment, you stop. You stop offering your internal world up for discussion. You stop treating your quiet moments as a problem that needs solving aloud. You stop attending every argument you're invited to. You start to hold your peace close. Like something precious you finally found in the wreckage. And this is when the dynamic changes. This is when their discomfort begins. To you, it feels like relief. It feels like finally putting down a heavy weight you've been carrying for years. But to them, it can feel like a withdrawal, a door closing, a signal they no longer know how to read. Your calm, your non-reaction, becomes a new and unsettling language. They might start to probe a little more. They'll toss out a comment, a joke, a bit of gossip, waiting for you to bite. They're checking to see if the old pathways still work. They're trying to locate the familiar version of you. When you don't take the bait, it throws them off balance. Their whole interaction with you was built, in part, on your predictable reactions. Now, the script is gone. They may call you distant. They may say you've changed, that you think you're better now. They'll gossip, not because you've harmed them, but because your silence creates a vacuum, and they feel compelled to fill it with their own noise, their own narratives. Your peace becomes a mirror, and when they look at you, they're forced to see their own reflection, their own need for drama, for control, for engagement in battles that aren't theirs. It's uncomfortable for them because it challenges a fundamental, unspoken rule they've gotten used to, that your emotional state was partly their business, or at least something they could influence. Your stability removes a lever they didn't even know they were leaning on. This isn't about them being evil or you being enlightened. It's about systems. Any system, even a dysfunctional one, seeks equilibrium. You were a key part of an old, familiar system. The system where chaos was currency, where reactions were the glue, where your energy was the fuel. By choosing peace, you've removed yourself from that economy. You've stopped trading in that currency. And the old system, the people who still operate within it, will notice the loss. They'll feel the shift. Their discomfort isn't a sign you're doing something wrong. It's a sign you're doing something different, something that protects you. So, why does this happen on such a deep emotional level? Let's strip away the poetry and look at the simple human mechanics. When you were constantly explaining, apologizing, and reacting, you were giving people data. You were giving them a map to you. They learned what topics made you defensive. They learned what tones made you fold. They learned how much pressure to apply before you'd justify, argue, or break down. In a strange way, all that noise you made was a form of connection. It was a loud, messy, draining form of connection, but it was a signal. It said, I am here, I am engaged, I care what you think. Your silence, your calm non-engagement, turns off that signal. It doesn't mean you don't care. It means you are no longer broadcasting your care on their frequency. You've switched to a private channel. And for someone used to the public broadcast, the quiet is deafening. It leaves them alone with their own thoughts, their own words echoing back at them without your response to bounce off of. That can be a very lonely, exposing feeling. Think about the last time you sent a text loaded with subtext, hoping for a reaction, and got back a simple okay. That okay has power because it refuses to play the game. It refuses to validate the hidden drama. Your peace is that okay lived out in your entire being. It also removes a source of their own validation. Some people, often without malicious intent, derive a sense of purpose or strength from being the voice of reason in your storm, the solver of your problems, or even the provoker of your passion. When you are no longer stormy, when you have no problem they can fix, when your passion is directed inward and quietly, their role vanishes. They have to ask themselves, who am I in relation to this person now? And that is an uncomfortable question that many would rather avoid by trying to pull you back into the old dynamic. This is the psychological shift. It's not a shift in your attitude toward them. It's a shift in your relationship with yourself. The central question changes from "How do I make them understand me?" to "Do I need them to understand this?" From "How should I react?" to "Does this deserve a reaction from me?" This is the core of the quiet power they can't stand. It's a power born of internal reference. You are no longer outsourcing the valuation of your feelings, your choices, or your peace. You are consulting an inner compass that they cannot see, influence, or calibrate. That is inherently unnerving to anyone who was used to having a hand on the dial. Ask yourself, when you feel that urge to explain, who are you really trying to comfort? When you feel compelled to react, what old wound are you trying to protect? When you choose silence, what are you actually choosing for yourself? This isn't about building walls. It's about recognizing that you had no doors on your house, and you've finally decided to install some. Not to keep everyone out, but to decide who gets to come in, and when, and under what terms. A person standing outside an open field is confused and upset when a fence appears. They're used to walking wherever they wanted. The fence isn't an attack. It's a definition. Your peace is that definition. It defines where you end and the noise of the world begins. So, what do you do with this? How do you move forward when your growth seems to create friction with the past? You stay quiet. You stay soft. You stay steady. This isn't a battle to win. It's a presence to maintain. You don't have to defend your peace. You just have to inhabit it. When they test you, let the test fail. When they poke, let there be no yielding. When they talk, let your life be the quiet reply. They will run out of ways to provoke a ghost long before you run out of stillness. This calm you've found isn't arrogance. It's the direct result of 100 small surrenders. You surrendered the need to be seen as the good one, the right one, the misunderstood one. You surrendered the drama that once felt like passion. You surrendered the exhausting project of managing other people's perceptions of you. What's left, after all that surrender, is a quiet space. And in that space, you finally got to meet yourself. That's who you're protecting. It means sometimes being perceived as cold when you are simply at ease. It means being called distant when you are finally present with yourself. It means being accused of changing, as if change were a crime and not the only evidence of a life being lived. Let them have their interpretations. Your responsibility is not to correct the record, but to live true to the quiet record inside you. You don't owe your past to anyone. You don't owe your growth to anyone's approval. You don't owe your hard-earned peace as a sacrifice on the altar of someone else's comfort. Walk with that. Let your calm be a fact, not a topic of debate. The most powerful thing you can do is to be unbothered, not as a performance, but as a natural result of knowing your own worth. Your silence isn't empty. It's full of everything you no longer need to say. The world has plenty of noise. It doesn't need yours. What it might need, what someone watching might desperately need to see, is the living proof that a person can get quiet, can say no, can walk away from chaos, and not only survive but finally, truly, begin to live. Your peace is not for them. It's for you. But in keeping it, you just might show someone else that their own is possible. Guard it not because you hate the world, but because you have finally learned how to be a friend to yourself. And that is a friendship you no longer negotiate.